Let's talk about 3 drop candidates. Number 1 on my list is Zach Collins. The Spurs entered this year with the youngest roster in the NBA, with an average age of just a little bit over 23. And that youth has been on display just looking at their record. They're dead last in the West at 10-37, and it's pretty clear that this is going to be a development year. So to me, that spells bad news for Collins. Collins has already missed 11 games this year with a right ankle sprain, and that injury has lingered. He's actually missed the last 2 games with soreness related to the injury. And I think with Victor Wembanyama getting his minutes restriction lifted, coupled with the fact that the Spurs came out and said that Wembanyama will be okay to play in back-to-back sets moving forward, should mean that Collins will see his workload decrease pretty quickly. Over the last few years, we've kind of gotten accustomed to Greg Popovich handing out random DNP rest to his players, and I don't see that happening nearly as much this year, because the Spurs have a lot of pieces in place that they want to keep for the future, and at this point, it's just about building chemistry between them. Collins has also been trending the wrong way. Unfortunately, over his last 10 games, he's averaged a little bit over 10 points, roughly 4.5 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 1.4 stocks per game, and 0.6 3-pointers. All of these numbers, aside from the defensive stats, are below his season averages. I also want to mention that Collins has never actually played a full 82 games, and he's only come close to doing it 1 time in his 6 years in the NBA. So I think at this point, if you can trade him while he still has some value as Wembanyama's handcuff, I would. I think Wembanyama's proven that he's pretty durable, and I would assume that he's going to finish out the season playing close to 30 minutes a night. Next up on my list is Duncan Robinson. Robinson is enjoying somewhat of a comeback year. Last year, we saw his production decline steeply. This year, he's nearly doubled all of his production in every statistical category. And while I think he's done a great job riding the ship and getting back to his sharpshooting ways, it's hard not to overlook the fact that he's benefited greatly from the Heat missing a lot of key players in the lineup. This year alone, Tyler Hero has missed 19 games with an ankle injury. Caleb Martin has missed 17. Jimmy Butler has missed 15. And even Jaime Jaquez Jr. has missed 4 games with a groin injury. And I think with the Heat now relatively healthy, Robinson's going to see his minutes and workload decrease steadily. Let's not forget that the Heat just brought in Terry Rozier, who will undoubtedly take touches away from Robinson. And even if the Heat end up trading Kyle Lowry, I still feel like this is Robinson's ceiling. And we've seen him taper off over the last month. And he's almost back down to the averages he had last year. And if you can trade him for something now, I would strongly consider it. But really, I would even consider dropping him for a hot free agent. Last on my list is Keontae George. Colin Sexton has really emerged this year, and he's a big reason why George has not been able to get more minutes. And even Jordan Clarkson has looked like a six-man of the year during certain stretches of this season. Let's not also forget that the Jazz still have Chris Dunn and Talon Horton-Tucker. And between a logjam at guard, inefficient shooting from George at times, and just a lack of a consistent role, it's hard to look at him as a reliable option at this stage of the season. Now, if the Jazz are not able to make the play-in tournament and they enter silly season, then George could have a really strong finish. So if you can afford to hold him, maybe consider it, but I really don't see his production turning anytime soon. The Jazz are pretty healthy, and I don't think it's worth hanging on to someone who's contingent on a trade. He's still very much a hold in dynasty leagues, and I strongly believe he is the guard of the future in Utah. He's just going to need some things to move around for him to really show what he can do. And also, being a rookie, he needs more minutes to get acclimated to the NBA. Those are 3 players to consider dropping. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and let me know which players you think are drop candidates in the comments below.